Welcome back to the Boat Cheat. Today we're looking at paperless planning, that is, planning routes on your tablet without reference to paper charts. Why is there such a debate about whether to use paper charts? Well, essentially because it's easy to make very serious mistakes. I paperless plan all the time. I prefer it now. I hated it to start with, but now I believe that it's probably the best way forward, and it means my charts are more up to date than they've ever been, and that is why I'm an advocate of paperless planning. Okay, we're going to look at a screen recording now of the English Channel, and I'm going to put in a route from Eastbourne to Le Havre in France. Now on the chart, if I go to my Navionics menu, I can go New Route, Manual. I'm going to start from Eastbourne, zoom across to Le Havre. I'm going to put in a point here just to the northwest of Le Havre, just to avoid some of the obstructions that are there, and I'm going to then put myself onto the channel into Le Havre Port. If I zoom back out and look at the route, you can see, oh yeah, straight across the sea, no problem. Therefore, everything's good, and off we go. Unfortunately, that's not the case. If we zoom in very gradually, what we'll find is that more detail is added. Now, I don't know what the rationale is for when or at what zoom detail is added, but I guess it's to do with data and clutter. So there must be a really good reason. So to start off with, we can see that the currents start getting added in as we zoom in. They only appear for some zooms, they disappear again later on. Again, there must be a very good reason for that. But as you zoom in, suddenly we get a shock. Okay, all of a sudden I've got this big purple area here, which is a traffic separation scheme, and it's one of the busiest traffic separation schemes in the world, so I really can't ignore it. So as you can see, if I zoom back out just slightly, it disappears. Zoom back in again, it reappears. So we do have to be careful. Now the rules say that I've got to cross this at right angles, so what you might do is say, okay, let's just put a waypoint at the top when we first meet that TSS, then we'll go across it at right angles and then carry on our route. Unfortunately, you're not allowed to do that. The rules say, and it's a law, not just a suggestion, that you must cross a traffic separation scheme on a heading at right angles to the traffic flow, not on a course at right angles. Now, particularly if you're sailing, that might be a very big difference, and particularly in the English Channel where there's a lot of current, that would be a big difference even in a motorboat. So what you would have to do is just put in the first waypoint, take up that heading, and then when you get the other side of the traffic separation scheme, replan to get to your destination. The problem with that is, as you can see here, there's an awful lot of unknowns the other side of that TSS, and I can't really plan to avoid them if I don't know where I'm going to be when I first start heading towards them. So it's much easier for me to change my route by avoiding the TSS if I can, which is the preference anyway according to the rule, and that way I don't have to worry about not being sure where I'm navigating from when I approach hazards. So I'm going to put myself a waypoint at the edge of the TSS, outside the buffer zone. I've got a buoy there which indicates the middle of that buffer zone at the end of the scheme. I can then put a course down on the chart, come south, check the route looks okay. Once I'm happy that there's no obstructions, I can then save the route and carry on. However, it's not quite that simple, and here's why. What I've just done is put in a leg that goes across Beachy Head. Now my boat's not that fast, and it's certainly not fast enough to climb Beachy Head, so I'll put a waypoint in to avoid it. I'm then going to zoom in, and I can see there are other problems here. There's a wreck there, which is a shallow wreck, so I might have to put another waypoint in to avoid that, and that way I'll keep myself safe, and off we go. At first glance you think, great, job done, we've avoided the TSS, we've avoided Beachy Head, we've avoided that wreck. What more could we want to do? There's a little bit more to do, and we'll have a look at how we're going to do it. So I need to walk along the whole route in a close-in zoom and check all the obstructions on my route now I've decided where I'm going, close enough that I can see the depths of any wrecks that I'm going to pass over, and so that I can spot any obstructions that are on my route. Now, as we can see on this zoom level, I've gone through and it looks like everything's great. Okay, yeah, and then we come down here, and I notice in the middle there, and further up indeed, there's an obstruction in my way. OBSTN, that's obstruction. So straight away you can see how easy it would be to miss a problem. So the first thing I'm going to do is to save that route and then open it. And the reason I'm doing that is now I can zoom in very close onto that black line. The line is smaller, and also I can start using the cursor to find the details out for everything on the way. So I'm just walking along the route really slowly in a very close in zoom, looking for problems on the track, left of the track and right of the track. So I've got a couple of buoys here to look at, and a wreck, dangerous wreck, always underwater, submerged. I'm just going to move my waypoint for that one so that it's more abeam, so that I can make sure that when I get to that waypoint I'm aware of why I'm in that place. In other words, I want to be left of track or on track, not right of it. Just walking along the route all the way. Those look quite close to the track, so let's have a look at those. No, it's 17 metres, don't care. 18 metres, don't care. They're not dangerous wrecks. There's no little dash line around them. That's just me getting rid of the cursor. If the cursor comes up because you're moving on the screen too slowly, you can just look at the item that it's pointing at by touching on the number at the box at the top of it, and then when you move out and back to the map, it closes it down again. Limit to zone identification. Oh yeah, the French don't tend to put as many notes regarding rules. They just say look at the rules. There we go, seaward limit of territorial area. Carrying on down, got a wreck there that's not dangerous. Then we've got some complicated markings on the map here. Let's have a look at these. Oh, what's this one here? Obstruction, straight under the line. So there's no more details on it, so I'm going to presume it might be risky and just move myself off to one side of it. So I'm going to add a waypoint at that point, and then put it at one of the buoys either side so that I can be certain that I'm avoiding it when I get to it. There we go. Danger firing area. Firing danger. Okay, I don't want to go in there then really, do I? So let's change my plan slightly. Have a look at the other areas here. There is a route there which avoids the firing area and avoids the other special area to the west there. So what I'm going to do is move that waypoint back the other side of that obstruction so that I can be sure I'm not going to be in any trouble. There we go. If I go to the other side away from that obstruction by towards the other buoy, I can now go through that clear area between the two. Add another waypoint in there. To add a waypoint, you just touch the line and hold it, and then it assumes you want to add a waypoint. You then drag it to where you want it, so it takes a couple of seconds to add a waypoint. You probably won't go along this line, but what it would do is make you aware of the line as you approach, and it's just a way of highlighting that the reason there's a waypoint there is because you've got something else to watch out for. So 4, 5 and 6. 4 is warning me about that obstruction and the start of crossing the channel. It's not a traffic separation scheme, and unless there's traffic in the way, I don't need to go across at right angles. If there is traffic and it's busy, then I should, and I'll be aware of that. And then 5 and 6 just remind me to keep out of the way of that firing area. I come on down, I've gone to just northeast of that north cardinal mark because that keeps me clear of the shallow area to the northeast of it. And then I'm coming down to the west cardinal mark on the entrance to the channel. I then come along, zoom in. So now add in some pilotage points just to take me to where I know I need to go. And I'm going to be detailed with this bit. It's very easy to skip these and go, okay, I'm at the entrance, but why make it hard for yourself? So while you're sitting in your living room on your iPad watching the telly, you can zoom in and look at all the notes. You can look on the almanac and find out where you're going to go as a visitor and see if it shows you, and it does in this case. So I can go to the entrance there to the harbour, add in a waypoint that takes me all the way to the visitor's pontoon. And then when I get there and they give me instructions babbled over the radio, I know where I'm going. Makes it so much easier. Navionics is a fabulous piece of kit. I strongly recommend you have it on your iPad or your tablet if you haven't already got it. It's really, really good value for money. And using it in this way gives you safe, simple navigation all the way to where you're going. It gives you both route planning and pilotage if you use it with care. Once the route is in Navionics, the sidebar gives you all kinds of information about that route, including the details for each leg, the start lat and long, waypoint numbers, distance and heading from that start point. It doesn't list the lat and long for each waypoint. If you wanted to put the lat and longs in for your logbook, let's say, all you'd have to do is to select the map near a waypoint, drag the cursor over that waypoint, and then touching the box at the top opens up information for that point on the map, including the lat and long. Lots of information at the bottom, including details of the marinas, the VHF channels, their phone numbers, tides, currents, boat dealers, fuel suppliers, the harbour master's office location and phone number. Lots and lots and lots of information, including right down to social stuff like restaurants and bars and shops for getting groceries. I hope you found that useful. Look forward to seeing you again soon on the Boat Sheet. Please don't forget, like, subscribe and hit that bell icon to be notified when we release our next video. See you soon back on the Boat Sheet.